It's another episode of Business 24, and the focus is on inflation rate in Nigeria. Without asking questions, the desire of every Nigerian is taming the situation, which has compelled most households to unnecessarily cut expenses, especially on consumption. Economic and development experts have, however, offered some tips. Does transportation have any correlation with the economy? Without hesitation, you will agree that the response will be in the affirmative. When the entire transport sector is harmonized, it trickles down to all aspects of the economy. We beam our searchlights on these, and details will come in the course of the program. Stabilizing the foreign exchange markets in the last 1 year has remained a daunting task. However, a consultant in tax matters has given some guidelines that will effortlessly enable Nigeria navigate this with ease. We will also come up with some tips on exports. Welcome to Business 24. I am Vivian Izadi. Prices of commodities will keep soaring, and many in Nigeria have limited purchasing power. How should government address this trend? Aliko Banachiarua, who sought expert opinion, is waiting with details.
The latest consumer price index indicates that Nigeria's inflation rate surged to 33.95% in May 2024, up from 33.69% in April 2024. Expected, food prices have significantly increased across the country lately. The huge tax before economic managers is what needs to be done to address the trend and make food available and affordable. Economic and development experts are quite unambiguous that governments as subnationals will be influential in effecting the solutions through implementation of strict fiscal discipline measures to address the nation's escalating inflation rates and unreasonable cost of food items.
Inflation is a structural problem. The structure of the problem is emanating from capital flight and abuse of power, which is having an exchange rate pass-through effect and coming back to the prices of goods that are imported and affecting the citizens. Because the current situation Nigeria is going through is a very unorthodox situation, is an unconventional one, where we are having inflation and recession moving simultaneously. It doesn't happen in economics. So the only thing we need to do is, how do we peg inflation at this point? And the only way to do it is to structurally demonetize. The state levels are even dependent on the federal government. Yeah, I need you to understand that there are some states that are currently, their IGR is currently below 500 million in that country. Some states. And it's ridiculous because they can't compete with the other states that are generating trillions. So there is only so much they can do. The 500 million cannot even sustain salaries for staff in their constituents. So at the state level, the only thing the state levels can do is to become the voice, to start speaking up for accountability.
State governors should not be left out in this. Majority of them should engage in metro buses for their people. Not luxury buses for long distance journey. Metro buses that could be high capacity of 90 to 100 capacity passenger seating and arrangement. That will go a long way to reduce transportation. Then the infrastructure gap for farmers, especially in rural areas where these food are coming from, they need feeder road. It could be earth road with sewage or drainage that could help them to reduce the flood in their area, but they need to be provided. And also, health facilities, primary health care should be enhanced so that the welfare of the farmers, their health challenges can also be taken care of. And not to forget seedling. Seedling is very, very important for farmers so that they can help us to produce more in this year that we believe that the rain will come and harvest will be bumper so that food high cost price can reduce before December 2024.
So it's now time for us to get innovative, begin to now look for strategies, first and foremost, to deal with the most critical challenge we have, which is food insecurity. Okay, and it cuts across everything. All right, people can deal not having new clothes, not even having clean clothes, not even taking a bath. But I don't think there's anybody that can deal with not having food. What we do is to get innovative. Okay, remember that they say that necessity is the father of invention. Local factors, insecurity has been worsened. Okay, now by the flooding. Okay, as much as the flooding might not have an immediate effect, but the far-reaching effect, okay, is going to be much, push the inflation rate much more higher. The thing that we must deal with as a country, we must be able to deal with food insecurity. Okay, and we must get very innovative about it. And I think we have a lot going for us that we can be able to apply.
Beside this, they are also craving for enhanced intervention schemes to support farmers, such as mechanized farming system and modernized storage facilities to increase food production and reduce post-harvest losses.
System farming on its own, being a collective farming from each household, can also be empowered to bring down food inflation if government can tap into it by providing some of the things that these subsistence farmers need. And I'll quickly point out that it has been discovered that there are 5 or 6 challenges that subsistence farming have in Nigeria. One of them is seedling. One of them is access to market. Another problem has to do with security. Another problem has to do with training of these subsistence farmers, as well as the having seed funds to be able to engage in this subsistence farming on a long term. Because most times you see that subsistence farmers, some of them are shifting ground to other areas of businesses because subsistence farming to them is not paying as expected. But I believe that government can tap into it, can encourage them, can also help them to correct some of the problems I've identified in terms of seedling, in terms of training, in terms of access to market. Subsistence farming can help us collectively to reduce the food inflation in Nigeria, particularly not just federal government taking advantage of it, but state governors, local government also engaging and encouraging their people in subsistence farming that can be transmitted and translated into mechanized farming on a long term.
I think that the highest implication to the economy is that the state security is also at risk, because when people are hungry, when people don't have income, there is potential. They are friend to poverty, and poverty is a friend to crime. At the same time, government also must try to set maximum price legislation. That is where if you are selling a product called rice, 50 kilogram should not exceed so amount. This will help greatly in making a price to be stable in the economy.
Importation is inevitable. We have to import. It's just accept it. It's inevitable. The problem now is because of capital flight, all this money that is going out, and our money in the international market is losing value on a daily basis. Importation of rice is going to be a new crisis because now we are seeing 100,000. There will be a time we'll be hearing 180,000. Like I said, it's not a matter of going that hope is lost or there is no hope. I think at this point, it's time for everybody to step up, because we always put everything on the federal government, that the federal government should do, the federal government should not do. But as an individual, it's time to bring out or harness those personal skills you have and put them out there. It's time to market ourselves. It's not more about a 9-to-5 job. A 9-to-5 job might not cut it. It's time for the entrepreneurial spirit in each and every person to come out, show what you have globally. It doesn't mean that you must do it at the local level or in the country and say the country is bad, so what would they? Put yourself out there. We have internet. We have technologies that can put you out there. Put yourself out there. You will never know what opportunities might come your way, and you might just be that change.
They further stressed the need to tackle insecurity, which hampers farming activities in the country. With Business 24, Alika Okpanachi, Aroa.
Actualizing a vibrant economy involves movement of humans and goods. Consequently, an active transport system is imperative and harmonization of the sector is required. You'll get to find out in this report. Transportation in all its modes is one of the major catalysts for economic development. Subsequently, a national transport policy that will accommodate harmonization of the transport sector is needed to realize economic boom. The corresponding effects of this approach are highly beneficial to the economy. They range from multiple employment generation to mutual understanding among stakeholders in air, sea, rail, and land sectors. Nigeria has been striving to strike a balance in its transport system since the removal of petrol subsidy, just to ease the burden through its modernization. Compressed natural gas initiative is one government targets in actualizing this quest. Transportation experts are a little fine-tuning such as harmonization of the sector will trigger a boost.
The movement of goods and services and personnel from one place to the other within a country is the economy of that country. That is the economy of that country. So anything that you will do to make that run smooth, run cheaper, and run better is going to impact heavily on the economy of the country. Today we are talking about inflation of food running to about 37% or more. One of the major contributors to that height is transportation, the cost of transportation of food. Take for example, you are moving onions from say Kebbi to Lagos. Now, the truck that will take that will go up diesel that is worth like 1,500,000 or even 2 million, depending on the size of the truck. And by the time you dump that price on the product, it will have taken the price up significantly. Then, even security, because security is a substantial part of our economy. Even security, you have discovered that now that patrols are reduced by the agencies because of the cost of fueling. And that is why we're saying this gas, this CNG is the way to go. With CNG reticulating through the country, where everyone from military to the police to customs to the traders to manufacturers, they can all get on CNG, the cost of production will be lower, the cost of transportation will go down, and the cost of securing the nation, which is the number one responsibility of government, will come cheaper, and it will be better and more effective.
One of the key elements that drives economy is also transportation. When people are able to move around easily, especially if you have efficient transportation system, you can get to places you want to go at reduced time, reduced costs. So it will definitely boost the economy because there will be savings in terms of costs of items. If I have to take something from here to Lagos and it will cost me maybe 50,000 and I will get it transported as far less amounts, of course there will be reduction in cost of items and it will improve the purchasing power of some people. Well, it definitely affects cost of items when you have to pay higher. So it will have serious impacts if you have smooth transportation system and things are being done easily.
We talk about oil and gas, oil and gas, oil and gas. We don't actually emphasize that Nigeria is a gas nation, and we've been wasting gas, flaring gas that affects, you say, how it affects common man. We're flaring gas that affects our health and the ecosystem. So for me, utilizing this gas, as Mr. President has mandated, is a presidential directive that by the removal of petrol subsidy, that we adopt to what we have and what we're wasting. And with technology, we're able to capture gas, compress them, and use them to obviously to energy and for auto gas. So CNG is one of the technologies that has come on mainstream to be able to address our transportation system, and it's much cheaper, environmentally friendly, and at the same time environmentally, better for our vehicles as well. So yes, there's a huge benefit. Nigeria has the capacity to manufacture a lot of things. We are great people, we're intelligent people, we do great things all over the world, and trust me, Nigerians ourselves, when we look at what we have, and enabling environment by the government and by private sector driven businesses, we'll manufacture whatever that needs to manufacture. As earlier mentioned, that Nigeria has already adapted CNG. We're just waiting for stimulation by government by creating enabling environment. With that, private sector individuals like us would obviously get, with the stimulation of the market and demand, we'll get investments into manufacturing CNG vehicles and all the services that goes with it. And by way, creating and distributing wealth to the common man. Transportation, logistics is part of an economy and is a key component of an economy, moving goods and services. So yes, government has played major role. However, government's got no business doing business. It's down to private sector to look at the opportunity, plug in and bridge the gap, and improve our transport system, both rail, water and road.
The desire for success in the agriculture has also been hinged on well-harmonized transport sector. With business, Vivian Izadifi. How can the uncertainties in the foreign exchange market be resolved? Tax consultant Oji Philip Oji, an author of the bill seeking for the establishment of the Independent Revenue Inspectorate Agency of Nigeria, has enjoined Nigeria to join the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and UNDP tax inspectors without borders. He says Nigeria can generate over 60 trillion naira per annum in both domestic and international taxes if his suggested templates and 5-year strategic framework could be implemented, as this will attract foreign exchange into the country and ultimately stabilize the forex markets.
Anything called government is tied to tax. And when you say tax, that's the first government when the world was created. The kings use tax, even though it's not government. So tax is senior government. So if you don't do anything, the fundamentals and the basic issues, you cannot govern. The tax have to come first, because you tie every expenses, pay workers, do this, reform, buy equipment, security, you end up asking of fund. Other poor funded, it will not get the result. So it means that the tax must be given that adequate attention to bring money first before you even talk about who is going to rule the country. Because the person coming to rule is not coming with money. So if there's no good functions of taxation reforms that are good, the time people will be coming to campaign and tell you what they want to do for you, you're supposed to ask them, where do you get the money you are promising to do it? I believe in the National Assembly. That is why I'm in this bill for over 7 years, and it will work. I promise you, God knows that President Tinubu is capable of changing all this narrative in one single blow. I call my initiative Save the Nigerian Children Tax Transparency and Accountability Initiative. It's saving the children. So whoever is coming, whether elected or appointed in the government of Tinubu, people should know that that person is coming for a rescue mission. There was nothing to share. That is why we are fighting among ourselves, and I refuse. We cannot fight. I have never called somebody names in my project. I have never insulted anybody, neither indicting government or indicting the National Assembly, neither even Nigerian citizens. So the reason is there must be reconciliation between the government and the people, because the people fighting don't know what they want. Any country that did a good job in their tax will save those money coming from the natural resources. It will be a savings for raining day. But we now bank on them as the operating, as where we get the money to operate our, our budget. No. But I believe that if they do what I told them to do, it will be driven by the money generated from the revenue. And it will give you a peace, because you will even know that you have money before going in. I believe that if they do what I told you now, first of all, we'll stop borrowing. It will happen between now to the next 24 months. Nigeria will not be borrowing again. We'll be talking about paying back. Because we will get the money to operate without oil. Oil will not be there. But 60, 50 trillion, the greater part of this money is coming from overseas. Because $40 billion, let us take 1,000 naira. Leave the other one. Good. I love that question. Tax transparency initiative I'm talking about that I just captioned now is what the OECD UNDP Tax Transparency Initiative call it at Addis Ababa, 2nd December 2022. They said, save the children, because all these things end up, the children are the ones suffering, the real suffering. I don't want to go into that, but let us say, you said, how do we get this money? Look, there's what we call transfer pricing, base erosion, profit shifting, and then other type, anything you call what we call illicit financial flow and the rest of them. They wear one cloth, that's evasion. They wear one cloth, one shoe, one cap, they enter one vehicle. Make sure you mention what I say, because if you don't know that it is tax that will control that point that will give this money, OECD will not tell you they are doing tax transparency without a tax inspector without border. Somebody that will come to do the job and somebody who have some confidence in them, it must be external independent inspector. And that is where they can share the automatic information that will repatriate those monies we own overseas. How do we own this money? Anything called transfer pricing, base erosion, profit shifting are electronically done, and Nigeria don't go there. Who own companies overseas? Nigerians. Sometimes 3. Some people have rolling mill, still rolling mill, and Nigeria own it. That is why I say no name to mention, but the truth is that they know it is true. Now, if the person pays 100% tax, which is they are doing over there, nobody is going to do this, what they are doing here, over there. They now pay comfort, because the people don't joke, they will collect it. South Africa, wherever you are. Now, when they pay it, they call them, in the tax study, they call it international citizens. These are the people who could pay their tax over them. And inside that money he paid there, whether he's the owner of the company completely or he's having about 40%, 30% equity in the place, that whatever he have there is a particular section of where they will remove his tax because it's divided according to equity. When he pay his tax there, which is collected already, now why are you now telling me the OECD laws specify that 70% of the money belong to the owners of the person? I mean, the citizens have to, this is for their own country, where it comes from. This is the particular money that I'm crying today that it look like we're stupid. We are not. Now, if OECD grant you 70%, which Nigeria is refusing because they believe that we are paying here. Now, this is Nigeria person's own. We are not part of OECD operation. So we cannot get this money. And 30% is the host country. Are we now saying because we have Chevron here, they want to take their 70%, and because we are against, we don't want to belong where we collect our own 70%? Are you saying that we don't have money over there? If you collect the international citizen money that is there, that is more than whatever they are collecting from the multinationals here. It's more than I already know. If it's up to 40%, which I know is going to be more than, you collect the profit shifting and all these things from OECD, will make sure that all the transfer, anything they excavate, what they call it, extractive industry that went there. They are the ones who know that with the one that come from Nigeria, because you now can't play with it. They are already monitoring everybody's movement. That's why they call it tax inspectors without border. They will bring your own to you. In fact, they will even repatriate it to the World Bank to make sure you are safe. They are saving you. But we refuse to join. 70% of whatever a Nigerian man owns overseas will give us a substantial amount of dollar. We join into the one OECD is going to still do, so that all the multinationals that are diverting our money through profit shifting and base erosion and all other illicit financial flow, it will give you money. Now, if you bring it to 40 billion, you will see this inflow that we are looking for, because it's dollar. Do you know that today, apart from oil, we don't generate any tax from the international market? It's not laughable. Who will tell you that Nigeria don't have tax overseas? It's not true. And they're going to be paid in pounds, in euro, and in dollar, depending on the country the operation was ongoing. Why would somebody sit down and now look at this type of money and now expect Tinubu to do miracle, to not work? I'm not blaming Casado. I'm not blaming Edu. I'm not blaming President Tinubu. You know why? They cannot print dollar. So whoever is looking for a miracle should find a way to think, have a rethink.
Well, that's Business 24 this week. I am Vivian Ezadifi. Don't forget to stay connected to Business 24 for the growth of your business. Bye for now.